Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Pius XII Under the Roman Sky, based on. I'm giving this 1 out of 5 stars. This movie is total nonsense. A lot of times when you're rating U.S. presidents or Holy Fathers, the highest rated ones are usually the worst. Pius XII never played the suffering servant for the Jews as portrayed in this movie. He never went to the concentration camps to promote the cause of the suffering Jews during the Holocaust. He appointed all the bishops to Vatican II, and he didn't clarify whether Mother Mary died or she fell asleep before she assumed into heaven. So those are 3 things about Pius XIII that they don't even mention in this movie. He was more concerned about Catholic Jews than Jews in general. And there's a really disgusting scene where the priest and the nun are watching a Jewish wedding happen, which is outside of the one holy apostolic church, the Catholic Church. This movie was painful to watch, based on Vatican documents and personal testimonies used by advocates for the canonization cause of Venerable Pope Pius XII. So there you have it. The people who are supporting the canonization cause are the ones behind this movie. So naturally, it's full of lies and stupidity and historical inaccuracy. This epic film stars acclaimed actor James Cromwell, who's in a powerful movie about the great and often hidden struggle waged by the Pope and many others with him to save the Jews from the Nazis during World War II. Like I said, he was trying to save the Catholic Jews, but he didn't do a very good job. After the Nazis took over Rome in 1943, Hitler's plan to kidnap the Pope is revealed as the Nazis make an all-out attempt to silence the one authority in Italy standing strong against them. Well, we now know from the papers that were released from the Vatican under Bergoglio that all of this is nonsense. He secretly met with a German ambassador, and nothing was accomplished on either side, really. It was a stalemate. And the speech that Pius XII made was rather ambiguous. The Germans liked it, and the U.S. leadership liked it. Anyways, everything comes together with great intensity in this dramatic story that retraces history from the documents and the testimonies of witnesses that were not fully known until now. What about the documents that were released afterwards? Hitler and the Pope on one side, the man who catapulted the whole world into war, and on the other, the man who more than any other fought for peace, really. I thought he was indifferent. Despite all his efforts, Pius XII was not able to prevent some of the horrors that took place in Rome when over 1,000 victims are deported to Auschwitz. That's an understatement. Okay, but history testifies that over 10,000 Jews were saved, hidden in churches and convents in Rome, more than in any other occupied city. Where did they come up with these statistics? What is going on here? Even among the Nazi officers were those who opposed such savagery, and thus, under the Roman sky, both saved and the lost, the victims and the executioners, shout the Pope's cry with their lives. Nothing is lost with peace. Everything may be lost by war, starring James Cromwell, Alexandra Mastronardi, Marco Frosci, Ettore Bassi, and directed by Christian Dugaway, Restless Heart, and Joan Varg. Pius XII, Under the Roman Sky, in Italian, Sotto il cielo di Roma. German, Pius XII, also known as Under the Roman Sky, is a 2010 Italian-German television film directed by Christian Dugaway and starring James Cromwell, Alessandra Mostrenard, and Marco Foschi. The film is set during the Nazi occupation of Rome between September 1943 and June 1944. Italy signed the Armistice of Cassaville on September 3rd, 1943. David proposes to Miriam, but she declines to marry him. Playing cat and mouse here. Miriam is very attractive. Italian, playing a Jewish girl. The Jewish community in Rome acquiesces to give the Nazi troops 50 kilograms of gold. Do they have a choice? During his tenure as the Pope, Pius XII vacillates in explicitly naming and condemning the radicalist policies of Nazi leaders. When did he do that? His encyclicals like Summi Pontificus are nuanced. Yeah, they're nuanced because they're neither pro or they're ambiguous. Fears grow that the Nazi military leaders might abduct Pope Pius XII, as one military commander reminds another that Napoleon, Pope Pius VI, was abducted. So here's a conspiracy theory that was spread by maybe 5 German officers, and they took it as historical fact. The film raised several controversies because of its portrayal of Pope Pius XII and its historical inaccuracies. A big surprise there. Chief Rabbi of Rome, Riccardo di Segni, described the film as a propagandistic piece of crap and apologetic work, which was full of errors and inaccuracies and absolutory on the choices, events, and silences of the papacy of Pius XII. Well said, writer Corrado Agias, was among the most critical of the TV movie, describing it as a fiction whose only purpose was to stretch a figure as best as possible in preparation for sainthood, and underlying some major historical falsehoods, such as a peaceful retreat of Nazi Germans thanks to Vatican pressure, ignoring several massacres such as La Strada massacre, and that Pope Pius XII personally intervened to avoid the raid on the Roman ghetto. Producer Luca Bernabe acknowledged some inaccuracies but defended the film, claiming it was not to be intended as a documentary. While screenwriters Fabrizio Batelli and Francesco Arstanch contended that our purpose was to write a story, not to make a historical judgment. Sotto a Cielo di Roma, 2010 TV movie, 3 hours and 20 minutes, way too long. It gets a pretty decent 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Only 358 ratings. Somewhat obscure. We like Alessandra Mastronardi. She's the only reason to watch this. Here's a review from Hidu 10-819-37458. The title of the review is an incredible story told poorly. More like this: When Fall is Coming, A Hand of Peace, Pope Pius XII, and the Holocaust, Pius XII, Hillinger Order, Hetschler, and Papst Pius XII under Holocaust. Guadia Bernadetti's debut in this one. When depicting the liberation of Rome by the Allies, the troops are integrated and the U.S. flag has 50 stars. The flag used during World War II by the U.S. had 48 stars. Release date October 31st, 2010 in Italy. Countries of origin, Italy and Germany. Language, English, also known as Pope Pius XII. Filming locations, Rome, Lazio, Italy. Production companies, Lux Vide, Rai Fiction, and EOS Entertainment. Runtime, 3 hours, 20 minutes, too long. It's in color, and there's an aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1. Papacy of Pius XII, focusing on years during World War II. Let's get to the IMDb review. And guess what? I'm not using Sonic cheap internet from my previous living quarters. I'm living in a homeless shelter now, waiting for an SRO, some hotel in the Tenderloin, which I've got to apply for on Monday. And it's been a crazy week. My Chromebook screen cracked because it was rolling around my trunk. I squatted at my old place for a day because I couldn't figure out the garage opener for my 24/7 parking in downtown San Francisco. I was going to sleep in my car Monday night. I ended up squatting at my old place, and then the security guards at the largest homeless shelter in San Francisco, they stole my pepper spray. I could have actually snuck it in because they were too dumb about it, but I was trying to be honest with them. I put it on their security table, and then when I came back, it was gone. So I've been sleeping with a bunch of lunatics and illegals. I was hoping to evangelize them with some Spanish catechisms, but no luck there. And then last night, I find out my Chromebook screen is cracked. I had to go buy a new Chromebook at Best Buy for $166. I got a good deal on a 16-inch, and it comes with this nifty sleeve here. And and today I've just been trying to find places that have chargers for phones. I couldn't find any at the Embarcadero Center, so I ended up going back to BJ's, which was where I was last night for dinner, and then and then today I just wasted a lot of time walking around downtown San Francisco, trying to find a place to plug in my Chromebook and my phone. No luck there, so I ended up going back to BJ's. I finished up watching Pius XII under the Roman sky finally, and I'll try to finish up one more this weekend before I go back to the homeless shelter. That homeless shelter has horrible food, by the way. I've been eating at BJ's for the last couple days. BJ's and Noah's Bagel. And I didn't want to waste my time walking back and forth 1 mile from my parking garage to the homeless shelter. So I just said, forget it. I'm going to, I'm just going to hang out at BJ's. Plus, I was getting groggy driving down the freeway here. And now I'm at Belmont Library, which is kind of mid-peninsula, I guess. Close to where my son lives. I used to take him here all the time, by the way. If you recall, I used to do some of my movie reviews here back in the day. All right, so let's get to the review of Sotto il cielo di Roma, part of my Italian. An incredibly story told poorly is the name of the review on IMDb by Hidu 10-819-37458, dated September 25th, 2019. I'll get to the review once all the background noise goes away. There is now enough evidence, there actually always was, to fully vindicate Pope Pius XII and the decision to save as many Jews in Europe through diplomatic and underground means. This was dated September 25th, 2019. Given the harsh reprisals against Jews, clergy, and civilians every time he and the church actually spoke publicly, The movie references the Dutch bishop's condemnation of Nazism and the subsequent roundup of Jews and converts, most notably Saint Benedicta of the Cross, aka Edith Stein. Edith Stein is the reason why Father McCarthy's daughter was saved from the hospital, apparently. However, the film doesn't mention that shortly after the Pope did denounce the Nazis publicly in his Christmas address of 1942 and the subsequent aftermath, which further convinced him to take the course he decided. While the series seeks to personally personify the people he ended up saving, Jews, and in one case, communists, the characters are in effect shallow and one-dimensional despite the love interest backstories at work. I found it to be a boring soap opera. And while it also showed the reality that the Vatican had absolutely no defense from the Nazis and was purely a mental construct, the similarity to Hotel Rwanda was noted. The film seemed to be full of haughty platitudes from the characters, as opposed to portraying what really happened, which would have been far more interesting. Cromwell was an interesting yet lacking choice for the role of Pius XII, since he comes off as a U.S. grandpa figure, as opposed to the scholar and statesman Pope Pius XII was. Filmed in a very made-for-TV style, laughably, the modern graffiti on the bridges wasn't even edited out. This was simply a topic and subject matter which is much larger than the venue put together here. All right. So there's somebody who's sympathetic to Pius XII. Like I said, he didn't do his job, play the role of the suffering servant. He has a moral duty to do that, just like the Robert Prevost, the Vatican II Holy Father, has a moral duty to go to Gaza too, but he won't do that. And there's some confusion around his proclamation of the Assumption. And he got the ball rolling for Vatican II with his appointment of Vatican II bishops. So a lot of problems with this Pope. I don't know why people like him so much. He wasn't necessarily Hitler's Pope. That's an extreme position. He was more like Ferdinand Franco's Pope, I guess. He was on more friendly terms with Ferdinand Franco. But he did kind of turn the other cheek to the Holocaust concerning the non-Catholic Jews in particular. But you wouldn't expect that to be pointed out in this film, and they could have gone into Edith Stein. That would have made it more interesting, but no. You just get 3 hours and 20 minutes of boring soap opera and historical inaccuracy. So that's it for my review on that movie. Sorry to have taken so long, but I'm just adjusting to this homeless shelter rigmarole. Hopefully I can get something more stable next week when I apply, but we'll see. First on my list is Stormcatcher 1999. followed by Redhead 1941 and Spies 1928, rounding up my top 3 on my movies list, I should say. So that's the end of my review. I don't have very many good things to say about this. As a matter of fact, I think it's a real stinker. So this is one of those form.org movies that you should definitely avoid. Watch The Bells of Nagasaki movie. I forget what the actual title is. And also the Father Mendel movie is another great one on forum.org. And there was Saint Teresa of Avila also. Those are my top 3 so far. This one is down towards the bottom later.